We're live, just like that. Tami, we're back. We got another wonderful event. We're going to get started in just a few moments, folks. I already see people starting to trickle into the chat. But hello, everyone. This is Aaron Roy from Teachable Discover. You got us on day 5 of Discover Fest. And today we have a fun event. I can't wait to introduce the various people coming out. But first and foremost, we have Tami Macala, who I'll go through her background in just a little bit. Before I kick it over to Tami, how we always start these events is we want to make sure you could see us, you could hear us, but so we can sort out any tech difficulties before we kick it over to our wonderful creators. So I see there's a bit of an echo. Folks, let me know if you're also hearing that, because I can't hear it on my side. But let us know in the chat if you could see us, you could hear us. If someone else hears an echo, feel free to tell me too. If you turn down your audio a little bit, that might cut it down. One thing before we also get started, we love to know where you're joining from. We love to know what you're hoping to get out of today, right? We have multiple artists that are going to be on stage. So if there's anything you're excited about, if there's anything you can't wait to see, let us know in the chat, because we do see this after, the artists see it after, and we'll kind of go through that. And we'll get started in a minute or two. I do want to see folks say you could see us, you could hear us. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I'm seeing no echo from some folks, echo for others. Just to call it out, if you are having some echo issues, like I said, turn your volume down just a smidge. That might help. And we will keep an eye on this the whole time. Tami, just so you know, because I'm seeing some of these hellos come in, we have lots of Washingtonians here. We have Ontario, Canada. You know, we got Maureen coming in from Wisconsin. Barb, Santa Barbara, thank you for joining us today. We got all sorts of fun ones. But I think we got enough folks coming in. We got people who could see us, we could hear us. Without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Tami. But I would just give a quick bio, because Tami's done an incredible amount of things. You know, she's the founder of Create Arts Online. She's been a professional artist for 20 plus years. You know, in 2016, she founded her first online school, Mosaic Arts Online. She realized there was a need to serve more art mediums. She opened Create Arts Online in 2020. I didn't realize this till this morning. She now has over 100 courses and over 40 instructors part of the school. I've had the pleasure of hosting events with her before, and I know I'm in for a treat, as are all of you joining us today. Without further ado, Tami.
Oh my God, Aaron,
take it away.
Taking it. And thank you so much for hosting this event with us today. And yes, Aaron and I have done a couple other events, just the two of us. And I am so excited to bring on 4 of these amazingly talented artists. But just if you don't know what Create Arts Online and you have just found us, we are a collaborative online art school that mostly is mediums in mixed media, fine art, watercolor, polymer clay. You're going to learn a lot about some of these in a few minutes from the artists themselves. But I just wanted to say one of the best parts about our courses is that you really get to explore your creativity with the virtual guidance of these instructors. And these are some of the most sought after artists and instructors in their chosen mediums. And you're going to see some of that come to life in a little bit. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you guys a little bit more inspiration, I guess is the right word, and introductions into who these people are. So without further ado, other than me, please bring on 4 of some of my closest friends.
Here comes the party.
Catherine England, Sunny Carvalho, Helen Shafer Garcia, and Lori Micah.
We lost Lori. I'm sure she'll be back.
Lori. Okay. Lori's
I'll bring her on as soon as she's back.
Lori's going to be back, I'm sure. We'll just start with the 3 of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a piece of each of their artworks. And then when Lori gets on, she will get her own spotlight, because I'm sure she'll be back any second. But starting with Sunny Carvalho, this is just one of the works there's Lori, one of the works that Sunny creates, and the course that we're going to talk about today, which is called Whimsical Character Painting. So you're going to learn a little bit about Sunny and that. And then we're also going to go over Helen Shafer Garcia and learn more about her watercolor techniques, which is called Watercolor Floribunda. It's amazing. And then we're going to have Lori Micah, who just joined us, and talk about her wall dolls technique. And this is with polymer clay and stamping and acrylic paint. So achievable, so much fun, and can make great holiday gifts coming up soon. And then lastly, we have Catherine England, who is going to talk about art journaling and book building and how you could actually make your very own art journal and what great what's the word, experience you can get out of learning different daily art practices. So I think the best way to sort of get this event started is to give you just a little introduction into each of them from themselves, not me talking. I'm just the facilitator today. So I'm going to introduce you to Lori Micah.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and join all my fellow Create Arts Online, fellow instructors and friends. So polymer clay, it's my passion, and it has been for about 25 years when I first started down that path. I came to clay as a painter, so I bring a different aesthetic than most polymer clay artists, because for me, it's all about altering the surface of the clay. And when I started down this path, I started using just white clay and used it almost like a blank canvas, which I then painted. And that journey began with actually a button, where I was using polymer clay to create buttons for hand painted clothing that I was doing back in the early 1980s. And from there, those little round buttons became button covers, and then they became little mosaic tiles. And it was right around 2000 that I actually started doing my first mosaics using handmade polymer clay tiles that were all hand painted. I also started using rubber stamps in my work, and that led down a whole different trajectory where it's been this kind of evolutionary journey of pushing the clay to create two-dimensional and three-dimensional pieces. And it's just the most amazing material, fairly new in the art world, and there's so many possibilities for what you can do with it. And it's been great that, when we were on lockdown, for COVID, that I was able to spend a lot of time in my studio and create a lot of pieces. But the best part is actually filming an online class with Create Arts Online that allowed me to continue my teaching, which had come to a screeching halt during the pandemic, and also be able to share something that I thought and hoped that people would really love to do when they also were on lockdown. So it's a fantastic medium. I can't say enough about it. It's fun, it's easy, it's accessible, and I think most people who do it just love what can be done with the medium.
And you're so right. And one thing I did not say at the beginning of my intro is that you will actually get to see inside a little quick demos. They're going to be called guided demos, because each of the instructors is going to guide me when I flip my camera over and show you a little bit of the process, just to wet your whistle just a little bit. So stay tuned. After we hear from our other three artists, we'll do little quick guided demos. So next, Helen, do you want to tell us a little bit about your background? Oh, Erin?
Sure. I've always been kind of a across-the-board artist. I've loved all different mediums. I took a lot of different classes in college, from ceramics, fiber arts, illustration, even design for museum installations. So, I'm glad I did all of that. And I have a love for water media, most of all. And I became an illustrator for resorts and hotels and for magazines. And so I've been very fortunate to be able to find work as a professional artist. And after that, I was at the same time, I was always painting, and I had my work in galleries in the Southwest. And so then I started teaching, and I just fell in love with the interaction and just explaining what I do to others and seeing the joy of that in their eyes and the excitement. So water media is kind of described as using anything, a paint that you can dissolve with water, and watercolor is my main medium, but I've also introduced acrylic and stamping and anything I can kind of put into that on that paper to make it more of a mixed media approach.
So, and that's what we love.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so
Yes.
happy to be here. It's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Now we do love Helen's work. It is so unique. When you say watercolor, you do not expect to see pieces like what's behind me over here or the iris I showed you. And to me, I am not a watercolor artist at all. And I've tried some of her techniques and they are so achievable and so gratifying in such a short period of time. So we're so grateful to have you as one of our instructors here at Create Arts Online.
Thanks,
Sunny.
Tami.
Sunny Carvalho comes all the way from Birmingham, Alabama. And I cannot be excited enough to have you here today. So please give us a little background of Sunny and her imagination.
Oh, thank you very much. And thank you, Erin and Tami, both for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I started out, I always have said that I've been an artist my entire life. I was born and then I picked up a pencil, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I went into porcelain for a long time. I was in realism for a long time. And then I think it was 2007 or 8, I went to an event called Art Fest near Seattle. And my world was blown open at that point. I realized that there was so much more out there and so many avenues to go down. And I came home just bursting with excitement and immediately started teaching because everything that I learned, I was so excited. And I was like, I need to pass this on. Other people need to know that this is out there. And so that is where I came from. And the path, like Lori was talking about, narrowed down a good bit with COVID. And I think I had already been out to you, Tami, and filmed a class, but I realized at that time that that's really where it's at. That's, it's wonderful to get with people in person, but while that's not available, I still want to be able to communicate with people and to, to pass on the things that I've learned, because I try to learn something every day. And hopefully we're getting that done, ladies.
Yes, you are. And it's true. You will all start to see these artists get out more and teaching live as COVID does get to be more in the rearview mirror. But in the meantime, and even after, online learning is here to stay. And it is a wonderful way to learn a step-by-step instruction without feeling like you have to learn something with the instructor that day. The courses are wonderful to be referred back to and do it again 6 months later or try a new medium. So I believe virtual learning and having the talent, caliber that we do have at Create Arts Online makes it really awesome for the students out there. So not lastly, because you're never last, but Catherine England.
Hi, it's really great to be here with these other women. I just can't help but smile looking at everybody. Thank you for inviting me. So I've always grown up with art and had a variety of mediums that I've really enjoyed doing. Most people know me professionally as a mosaic artist, which I've been doing for 20 plus years. And I do enjoy doing mosaics and creating installations for schools and parks. But my true passion and what alters me the most is visual art journaling. And so what's great about this course, and I've taught this to hundreds of students, to children and adults. And I was so happy when Tami was willing to take this course on as an online class, because it's not really project specific except for building the book. So in my class, you get to sew a book and you can make it any size, you can do any kind of cover, and we'll be showing a lot of books when I get to talk about this later. It gives you a lot of freedom for, again, being creative and creating your vessel. But the most important part of my class is about talking about what goes inside. And what's great about the techniques I teach is they're open-ended and never really finished. You don't end up with a complete project. My goal is that you do this for the rest of your life. And what I teach you in this is how to approach your art and creativity with freedom from fear and being powerful in how you start to express yourself. So we do a lot of drawing techniques, watercolor, using the right side of the brain, using the left side of the brain. We talk a lot about the brain. We talk about the importance of documenting and seeing your life. So it's not what you're looking at, but how you see it that matters. So we talk a lot about building that artist eye muscle, which hopefully will translate and give you power in all other mediums, whatever you enjoy doing. In any of the other classes that are offered on Create Arts Online, when you practice the skills you learn in my class, all those classes become more joyful, more powerful, because you're going to have a confidence that a lot of the times takes us a long time to get. And for me, that was most transitional when I started doing this form of art journaling 20-something years ago. And I was going through a really painful period. And I began to notice that I had a lot of joy when I was doing these activities. So I started studying the brain, started learning how different parts of the brain express differently. And then I constructed these exercises to help you facilitate and access the part of your brain where you can be present and create in a space of joy and not fear. And that's what I'm most proud of.
That is our message today. No matter what you're creating, it really is about the process and about creating from joy. And the journaling and using, as Catherine will talk about later, all of the different mediums that are here today on this Discover Fest can all go into this art building practice that Catherine's talking about. But we'll get to that in a minute. So instead of all y'all's watching just us talking, we thought we'd do these little guided demos. And I think, Erin, maybe the best thing to do is just to have my other camera and the artist that I'm working with on. So we're going to start with Lori. So Lori is a polymer clay artist, like she said. So I'm going to flip my camera and I'm just going to give you a quick demo into a little bit of what's in Lori's wall doll course. You're going to learn just quickly how to do a word, how to do a little bit of stamping with some gold leaf. So maybe you've seen this before, maybe you haven't. And this will be just a quick little insight into that. So give me 1 second while I change my camera. Okay, so what you see here, I'm going to let Lori do all the talking, I think, and kind of guide me into what we're going to do. So, Lori, are you there?
Yes, I am here. And absolutely, the first thing to do is to get that clay conditioned, which is an important part of working with polymer clay. And I know that you've already preconditioned your clay. Yes. To get all those molecules moved around inside there. And next, you can roll out a slab of clay using your brayer or a rolling pin, and pick it up and flip it over, and and roll out a nice even slab there. And you can see that Tami has mixed 2 colors of clay together. That's great. As I said, I'm all about altering the surface of clay, so it doesn't really matter what the color of your clay is. It's going to create some beautiful designs no matter what. So the first thing that Tami is going to do is use some alphabet rubber stamps. She's using a clay blade to cut off a couple of pieces. And these rubber stamps, she's got her word that she's spelling. And this is a great way to add text into your mosaics or anything that you might be doing. Kind of press down evenly, not too hard, but just enough to get the word on there. And if it's too deep, Tami, you can lightly roll over it with your rolling pin to kind of make sure that it's not too deep. Okay, just lightly. And now the best way to be able to see what she's spelled on there is using a product called Rub and Buff. And by simply putting a little bit of that on your finger and rubbing over the surface, it's like doing a temple rubbing, where all of a sudden you will see the design. So just lightly going over it, there you go. You can see her word gratitude on there. And then you can go ahead, if you wanted to, you could add paint on top of that. You could cut out that tile with the word on it. So if you want to cut that out, Tami.
Yeah, hang on. I'm just adding a little bit of color too.
Yeah, so you can alter that and change it, and to anything that you want.
Okay, now I'm
And
gonna
if you-
cut it so it's even, right?
Yeah, and I would cut it on the little line that you have there.
Yep,
Because,
so that takes away the extra indentation.
right, exactly.
Okay, so really close.
So
to the letter.
using your tissue blade there, you can just cut out the part that you want to use. And even with the paint on it, you're able to just fold up the rest of the clay and reuse it. So it's great, even though you have paint and rub and buff on it. So there you have that. And you can see just what you did, Tami. If you wanted to add that onto a piece, you can bend it and curve it and make it like a banner. You're able to, it'll bake just however you form it is what you see is what you're going to get when it bakes. So it's a wonderful way to add.
Yes, so it can bend a little bit, and it would be
Right,
added
you can
to another piece like on the wall doll or your polymer triptychs. But yeah, it's very manipulative that way. Let's show them the gold leaf method.
Okay, and I love, because I'm just obsessed with medieval and early Renaissance art, using gold leaf is just something I love to do, and it works great on clay. So what you want to do is roll out another slab of clay, and then you're going to take your...
You can tell them about how I can reuse what we just...
Right, so all those scraps can be reused. Yep. Roll them back up, and then roll out another slab. And at home, I'm usually just working on wax paper. I find that's a good surface to work on.
Yes, this demo station happens to be plastic, but yes, wax paper or parchment paper works well, right?
Right, yep.
Okay, so we'll roll down.
So now you've got that. And so what you want to do is take your piece of gold leaf, and this is backed with a paper backing. You want to put it foil side down onto your slab.
This is the foil. It's going down.
Right. And then, burnish it lightly. No, before you do that, burnish it on there. And then you have to remove that little paper backing.
Got it.
Peel it off. And if it doesn't stick, you got to keep pushing down around those edges.
Okay.
Like that. Yep.
We're almost there. I can feel it. Yep.
There you go. Perfect. Yep. Look at that. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Okay. Now you can create the most incredible designs using deeply etched rubber stamps. So you want to take your rubber stamp, push it down, and because you've got a slippery surface, you don't want to use a rolling pin. You want to just use your fingers like you're doing, hold it in place, and really push into it so you get a deep impression into your clay. And then peek before you just lift it off to make sure it's looking good, because you'll never get it back on there again. That's looking pretty good.
Okay, so pull the whole thing off?
Yep, so you can pull the whole thing off.
Wow.
Like that. And now you've got that beautiful text that is got the gold in it. So again, you want to use paint on top of it because it'll help define what the stamped image is. So any kind of color of paint, use your finger as a paintbrush. Go over the top of it.
A heavy body acrylic. Yep. So this works well now, and just use my finger gently.
Yeah, so lightly over the top. Yep, and keep going, and you can just build up layer after layer of paint on top of there.
And Tami and Lori, just a quick question, because it came from the audience and it's related. I'm going to bring it up real quick. It's from Cindy. But do you ever use anything besides polymer clay as the base? If you don't mind speaking to that.
No, I pretty much, polymer clay is the medium that works the best to do all of these techniques on. So yeah, it's definitely polymer clay is what I use to create all my work. It starts, even though it's hard to even tell it's polymer clay by the time I'm done with it, that's always the basis and the beginning of what I do.
Thank you so much. I'll let you go back to going through this. Thank you for taking that question.
Okay, so you could see, you could continue, you could add more colors on top of that. You could use a beautiful, that quinacridone nickel gold or black paint, and you'll get really a lot of layers and depth to what you're creating with that. And then you could take that tile and you could cut that up into 4 pieces and make smaller mosaic tiles. So endless possibilities with, there you go. You can keep adding More
This
on
is going to
top.
be a dangerous hour, Erin. We're having too much fun already.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yes, it just gives you a little bit of insight into Lori's process, how she creates, some of her tiles. And is there anything else, Lori, you want to add?
well, because you're doing a demo using text, I just, would like to add that for me, I add text or words or quotes into most of the pieces that I do because I just love the kind of added layer that it gives and brings meaning to some of the pieces. And I've done a lot of shrines and altars, and definitely it's nice to be able to add some things that resonate and have personal meaning. So yeah, it's a great way to add a different element, especially into regular traditional mosaic making. Adding polymer clay tiles with them that are personal is a great way to, kind of bump up your mosaic work.
Or making the wall dolls. Even when you do the wall dolls,
Right.
This can all be added to those types of things. And they learn that in the course, in both of your courses at Create Arts Online.
Right. I wanted, as we're talking about the wall dolls, they come, you can do them in any size that you want. So that makes it really fun to do. And most of them have some sort of, for me, personal meaning. So there's these words that are in there and whatever. So they can be a story doll. It's like a storyteller doll is really what it is.
Yes. And you can add like personal things to it. Like if you have your own custom costume jewelry or your grandma's brooch or whatever can always be added to these to make them more personal.
Right. So, here's another example of one. And this was actually done for a fundraiser in Houston after one of the hurricanes. And so it says keep hope afloat. And, it's another one and it's dimensional. So, it has a little bit of meaning related to that whole fundraiser that they were doing. So there's a lot of directions that you can go with the wall dolls. And I'd love to see someone do one that's like 3 feet long because it's just a 2x4 piece of wood you're using as your substrate. So lots of possibilities.
So, and here is Lori's. This is just a little sample of what Lori made in her other course with us called Polymer Triptych. So you can learn a lot of different things using polymer clay. And I have to say, Lori's the only one I know out there altering the material the way she is to make it have this more Renaissance and vintage look, which is just stunning and makes great gifts. Did I say that before?
Right.
So,
well, and also I just want to bring in, because I know Catherine is going to speak to this, but we have team taught a couple of times journals. And so, Catherine binds and does the whole journal work. And
Lori,
then the cover is done with clay.
Hold it still, because there you go. It's just the bandwidth is making, that's gorgeous. So beautiful.
So you can see, it's a journal. The cover is done in polymer clay. And it's this beautiful Coptic binding that Catherine teaches. So it's you got to just think outside the box of all the different possibilities for what you can use to cover with polymer clay, and the sky's the limit.
Yes. Erin, do we have any questions before we go on to Sunny?
Yeah, let's grab a few real quick.
All right.
I'm just picking and popping here. One of the ones I saw was for Lori, do you prefer real gold leaf or can you use imitation gold leaf?
I wish I could use real gold leaf, but no, I'm using imitation gold leaf. The whole process for real gold leaf is totally different than using it on polymer clay. And the clay is a sticky sort of a surface, so the imitation gold leaf sticks right to it, and it's a perfect surface to adhere with gold leaf.
Yeah.
I'll grab one more, and anyone, if we don't get to your question, there will be some time at the end too. I promise.
The end, yeah, sure.
So anything I miss, I'll try to come back to. I'm going to grab just this one real quick, and then for next steps, do you bake the pieces now?
So I usually get the whole piece done and then bake the whole piece, unless I'm doing a mosaic, in which case I'm baking pieces and then gluing them to a substrate. So it's really a matter of the approach you take. I mean, the clay eventually has to be baked at some point, but usually each tile is completely done with embedding things into it. So you can embed anything from paper metal, glass, whatever can be embedded into the clay. And it bakes at such a low temperature that it's great because you can pretty much embed all sorts of things and it is successful. So, but it depends which approach I'm using, if it's all baked together as one or individual tiles.
Thank you so much, Lori. And there is more questions, so I promise we'll come back to them at the end.
Okay.
With that, Lori, I'm going to put you backstage, and I think we're going to bring Sunny out.
Yeah.
In 1 second.
All right, so I'm going to switch cameras right away. Sunny, the same thing. We're just going to talk about your process from at the very beginning of creating the whimsical character.
Okay.
So just so everybody knows, this piece was created during the filming of her whimsical character painting at Create Arts Online. And to sit here and do this now would take us 2 days or longer. So what I thought would be fun is, if you can believe it or not, there are so many layers to this. You probably can't believe it because you just can't tell. But this is paper, there's words here. There are so many layers and so much going on here. But you have to start with the base. You got to have your base layer down. So I just thought it'd be really fun to show you how easy it is to do the base layer. So starting with one of the wood panels, which is the substrate Sunny likes to work with. I'm going to take that off. And Sunny, you want to talk me through this of exactly what I'm going to do?
Yeah, so this is just a really, really super easy way to get started. And I start a lot of different things in a lot of different ways, but this particular method is super easy. So what you want to do is grab 3 or 4 colors that go together. I usually throw in a white, sometimes, you know, an off color like a pink or something, but you're just going to put the dots down just like Tami's doing right here. And then I usually keep, she probably doesn't have this, but I usually keep another panel right beside it. If there's any extra paint, roll it off so that you don't, there you go, so that you don't have too much waste. So now she's going to take a brayer and just
This is a brayer if you've never
Yep.
seen it.
That is just a speedball brayer.
And I'm gently.
Yes, just gently start pushing the paint and it will start going together. And you can go in the opposite direction as well across it. There you go. And see how it just starts to melt into each other, and it gives you a lot of gradient in there. And get rid of some of it when it feels too thick. There you go.
Oh, that's so pretty.
When you're happy with it, that's when you put it aside and let it dry, and then you move on from there. You can't get more easy than that, and it totally takes away the fear of the blank
exactly
surface. Yeah,
exactly. And what they don't see here that you see more when it dries is that it creates this like crackled effect.
Yeah,
so maybe you can see that a little bit on here, but that all that crackle started from the brayer and the wood and paint, which is you know, just almost like a pleasant surprise.
It is. It gives it a great texture, you know, for the beginning of your surface, and you can also sand it down a little bit in the next step if you don't want quite so much of that texture. But just super easy way to get started.
And so pretty. Like, can I just leave it like that?
Yeah. Yeah, you could.
I love it. Okay, wait, let me flip my camera back around. And do we have any questions on that one, Aaron? Aaron,
folks, I'm right here. If I didn't know we were jumping to questions just yet. If we have any questions for Sunny, this is the time. But just to call it out, if we do miss your question, we're going to leave time at the end. So if you do have a question for Sunny or for Lori from before, you put it in the chat. We're going to go back. So don't feel bad.
All right. So, oh God, that was so fun and so quick. I'm ready to keep going. But next we're going to bring in Helen Shafer Garcia and her drop-in watercolor technique. So give me 1 second as we get the cameras moved around. And watercolor may be my least experience that I have with anything. So this is gonna be a very experimental guided demo, but Helen is gonna take me through the steps of how to do the background around what would be her iris, which I was able to draw an iris. So you're gonna see me do a little bit of this background technique as Helen guides me through it. So just give me 1 second as I change my camera again.
All righty.
All right, hang on one second. I just got to widen out the lens a little bit.
Okay.
And,
looks like a good setup.
getting set up. We're going to move the acrylics out. We're going to put the watercolors here. And then, hold on one second. Let me just get this. There was no easy way to do this all in one quick thing. Okay, so what we have here are, Helen recommends 3 primary colors if you're just getting started. So what I have here are the 3 primary colors and my water, and I'm going to widen out even a little more so you guys get a better view.
Make sure you have a lot of water.
I have a lot of water. Do you see my water? Lot of water, and I'm getting a paper towel. I'm getting a paper towel ready to have by, my side here. And now you are just going to guide me because I'm going to put the water over here, I think, because I think that'll be better to get to the paper.
Whatever's easiest for you. So you're going to take a brush and add water to the area around the flower. And you can do sections. You don't want to have to rush and try to do the entire background. You can do it in sections. So maybe just that left side. As you've seen it, and you're doing a great job. You're going back in the water more than once because it really needs to be flooded and saturated on the surface. So what you're looking for is a shiny surface where the water is actually sitting on top of the paper. So if you look at it from an angle, just make sure you
see that a little better. I don't want it to spill too far over, but it's really puddled nicely on the paper.
That's exactly what you need. So next step is to start with the first color. Your quinacridone gold. We work from warm to cool basically in watercolor. And take your brush and pick up a little bit of that paint and swirl it around a little bit. Bring it in a little bit more than you have because we've already saturated the surface with water and now we want to introduce the colors. So you need more than you think. All right, so touch the surface with your brush.
Oh!
There you go. See how it spreads out? Touch another area. It's kind of random. You don't need to even think about this. Go up to the top and touch it a little bit more. So see that spot at the top where it's not spreading as much?
Yeah.
Go add a little more water if you don't think it's spreading enough. So there you go. All right, so let's switch to the second color.
I'm drying my brush off of that color, putting my brush back in.
Yeah, you don't even need to dry it off. You can just put around in your water and pick up that red. Do the same thing. Pull that out. Yeah, this is quinacridone rose, I believe.
Yes.
That looks like nice fresh paint there. And now do the same thing. It can be on top of the previous color or next to it. So add a little more water on those spots. It looks like it needs a little more help to move about. And maybe one more spot up at the top somewhere. There you go. So, and then rinse out the brush again, just a little, and then bring in some blue. So go back into that blue. Yep, spread it around. Try picking up a little more water right now this time. There you go.
And go to the paper or back to the paint?
Right onto the paper. And go in between. There you go. Where you have some white areas. So we have all 3 primaries. Now, if you took all these colors and painted them with brush strokes, you would end up with gray or mud, as we gently call it. But because you are fusing it with all this water, it's doing its magic. It's doing this real incredible change. And you're getting secondaries. You're getting the orange and you're getting the purple. And you're getting some green in there too. So the trick is don't overpaint. You let the water do all the work for you. And that's kind of hard to remember because we so want to get in there and just kind of, kill it. We want to just force that paint to go. But this method is allowing the water to do that work for us. But look at
and
that.
Helen, can you tell them about why it's not going into the flower, how the pencil line is doing its job?
Because this is watercolor paper. It has sizing in it, which is a gelatin-like substance that stops any moisture from moving about. So the paint will only move where you put water on the paper, which, is the perfect thing we need for our painting. So, if you added water to that petal on the iris right now, some of that color would move over into the section. Sometimes I do that on purpose. And so, like you're doing right now. So, you see all that gentle color. It just gives me joy to watch this.
Who would have thought?
And I learned this from one of my instructors at Long Beach State, Teresa Woodward, who was a illustrator, and at the time she worked with Westwaite's magazine, AAA magazine, and she was doing this crazy stuff. And I thought, wow, this isn't the watercolor I knew, the pastel kind of laid back paint. She was making the water work for her. That okay, this is the path I want to take. And
yes, and wow, on camera, as we all know, at least us artists, that it looks just incredible. So I can't thank you enough. That was so fun.
And we do have a question or two that came in, if you don't mind.
Okay, let's do it.
Helen. Yeah, one of the questions that came in from Cindy was, what kind of pencil were you using?
Good question, because if you use an H, which is a hard pencil, you would indent the paper, and you don't want that with watercolor. You want to use a 2B pencil. I wouldn't go into a 4 or 6B because that can get kind of messy, unless you want graphite as part of your textures. I would just stay with a 2B, but avoid H's because they'll indent the paper, and then all your watercolor will run right into it, and you'll never get rid of that line.
As a follow-up, let me grab the second one from Cindy as well. If you don't like the colors that the water merged, can you let it dry and try again, or is that just going to make things even more muddy?
No, you let it dry and avoid fiddling, which we all want to do. We want to fiddle and make it, fix it. But let it dry completely. And then if you go over it with just one of those colors and do the same kind of add more water right over the top, and then drop in red per se, you can pull it out of that muddy look. Yeah, you can change it up completely. So there you go.
All right. Any other questions, or we're ready? Thank you, Helen.
We'll grab them at the end. Yeah,
Okay.
Helen, thank you so much.
That was so fun. All right, so let's bring in Catherine England, and then Catherine's actually got 2 cameras, and she's going to do her own demo of the book building, and she's going to introduce you to her kit. Because if you are interested in creating her book and learning how to do this vintage style, you can buy a kit from her with the course. So, Catherine, I'm going to let you and your cameras take it from here.
Great, thank you. Also, I want to acknowledge you for performing art in front of thousands of people. Talk about being fearless. So we thought the best way to give Tami a little break, I wanted to lay out, these are some books. I started doing this form of art journaling about 20-something years ago. And the first book I numbered was 001, and now I'm at, I don't know, 28 or 29. But the technique I teach you, you can use with any type of cover. So I like buying old books and creating these types of covers. So every journal is a different story. So this is a wonderful step-by-step, very, very slowly. I teach you all the sewing that you need to create a journal of any size out of any kind of cover. I wanted to show you, these are 2 books. As Laurie mentioned, we have done a collaborative a couple of times, but I wanted to show you about how wonderful her technique looks on a finished product, and how different each piece can be when you're using that style. And instead of just going through a whole bunch of books, I wanted to show you the second half of my class that Tami has made available to you. We talk about what goes inside your book. So most of our books start out with a title page, and we talk about the types of materials we're using. Oh, here's one. So I usually, as an exercise, have you start by drawing the supplies. And I do talk about my favorite pens, pencils, the best watercolors to get. We do talk about watercolor a little bit. But I just thought I'd show you how each page is kind of an unfinished journey of sometimes it's collage and mixed with drawing. I pick up different techniques. You'll notice that Sunny and Helen both talked about how they experienced a particular artist that changed their life. So you never know when something's going to show up where you go, oh, I want to do this. So this is using Helen's style type of watercoloring that I learned from her, and I love playing with that. And other times I use things that I've either made up myself. Sometimes I just doodle. We talk a lot about patterning and how important doodling is for getting to a state of peace. And I think what's wonderful about this is each page is just kind of my own little exercise. Sometimes it's complete, sometimes it's not. And I give you just some series of exercises to, we do a little portrait drawing. This is a class with Helen right here. Boy, Helen, you showed up twice on my book. We talk about collage. I actually teach you some transferring methods for fun. We talk about pen and ink and contour drawing. We do talk a lot about doodling, actually. You'll notice we do draw, we talk about realistic drawing, we talk about fantasy drawing, but mostly I'm trying to get you to tell a story. And I give you permission to put anything on any page. So this just happened. I just got back from a trip and I stuck in a whole bunch of pieces of paper from that trip that will remind me of that forever. This is a bunch of graffiti I saw when we were walking around London. This is from a play we saw, and there are the ticket stubs. And so it's just kind of anything I want it to be. And there's something really wonderful about that I can spend 10 minutes in here, or I can spend, I think this took me an hour and a half. It's something I was inspired at by a garden I went to. So that's why I wanted to share this book, just because this is my current book. So these are pages that are unfinished. And so in a few days, this page will look very, very, very different. So if I give you I tell you how to get everything and where to get everything, but I also make available a kit that comes with an awl and needle and all the special needles, special threads. And I do send a cover with you. You get a choice of covers for your first book. It comes with the birchwood and sandpaper and the paper, all the paper you need and everything. So you don't need to buy anything. I even sent some sealant to put on after the paper when it's all done. So I want to make this as easy as possible for you. Once you have that blank book, though, I'm worried that you're going to think it's too precious. So we talk a lot about just jumping in and being fearless and just making this the journey for the rest of your life. And then incorporating all the other wonderful things you learn from other teachers. You're mute, Tami, I can't hear you.
I am a beginner in all of these courses that each of the artists that are here today, but I have, as you saw, dabbled in each of them. So Catherine, every artist leaves some of their work or what they created in the course here at Create Arts Online headquarters. So I just wanted to show you something as simple as this is what I created in this journal. And I'm messing with watercolors very poorly, but I had so much fun finding an old book and just using some collage sort of methods and then drawing over it a plant that's behind me. And so just, it is so about dabbling. It is so about what Catherine said, doodling and doing things that are just what is ever's inside of you. And it's not about it being shown to anyone unless you're silly enough to do it like I just did, but it's really just about that. And this course, to me, watching her film it and the information you get and the exercises that you do that can expand your creative juices and everything. It's a very special course, and we're so grateful to have it here.
Thank you. And thank you for making it available. To me, of all the classes I teach, and I teach a lot of different things, this is the most important thing. And it is my goal that every woman in the world do this, because it really will alter not only your artistic journey, but my goal is that you find a way to access a peace and a power through journaling.
I totally agree. And there is science behind daily journaling that can do many things to expand parts of your life that you may, never knew were possible. So I am a firm believer in daily journaling, meditating, all that stuff. So on that note, because you guys can't believe this, but we are inching into questions and answers. So I think we'll bring everybody back, and Erin, and just to answer some of these questions from the demos today. And as everyone can see behind me, this is all the artwork that is in all of our courses here at Create Arts Online. And Catherine has a contemporary soldering course, and Sunny has how to make those little dolls that are over this shoulder. See, no one can do it right. And how to do character drawing. We have bundles. We have so many courses at Create Arts Online that these and other artists have created. And I just am so grateful to have you guys all here today. So I'll let you take it from here, Erin.
Wonderful. As Tami just mentioned, I'm going to put in the chat in just a few moments. I think I lost one of them.
No, that's right. The demo one. You're good.
Wonderful. In just a few moments, I'm going to put links in the chat to.
Where's Helen?
Yeah, we're missing Helen.
I think she just dropped, but I see her coming back. Don't worry.
Okay,
we'll have her for the Q&A. But yeah, as Tami just mentioned, I'm going to put some links in the chat in just a few moments for each of these respective artists. And not only that, as part of Discover Fest, I hope I'm quoting it correctly, each of these artists actually was generous enough to contribute a 15% off, promotion now through Cyber Monday, November 29th. If you don't get the links in the chat, no big deal. We're going to send them out later to folks who registered for this event as well. But, with that, I did want to say thank you to all of these artists for contributing their time today. And, I'm going to stay here to answer as many of these questions as we could. So if I missed your question earlier, feel free to repost it. I am going to go through the chat and try to bring some of those up. I think what we'll do is, because I'm having a hard time matching which each question goes to which artist, feel free to chime in and we'll figure it out, but we'll do our best to get y'all's back. So without further ado, let me grab a first question and I'll start posting these links. 1 second here. Oh, I'm going to grab this first one from Wendy, and then we'll go from there. This is, do you have covers for making a clay journal?
All the covers that come in my kit are, you can put anything on them. You can use the paper that I send with it, or you can use something you've copied at home, or you can use Laurie's course and put the polymer clay directly on the birchwood that I send with this. And then from there, you can cut your own covers any shape you want.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Another one I wanted to grab, I saw this, and this is from Nicholas Nelson. It's actually a two-part question. I want to use mixed media art for my digital branding online. What kind of camera, lighting, camera settings do you recommend? And as a follow-up, same question is, I don't want the textures to wash out as they do with my usual studio lighting. Tami, in particular, with the way you demo, you might have a really good take on this question.
I am not a professional by any means in this, but I do know that we use a lot of filtered lighting and The camera that you saw these demos just happen on is actually a 4K camcorder, but that's for filming. So as far as trying to get images that are still, I mean, I hear the iPhone 13 is doing incredible photography, but I don't know if any of you guys, because you've had to photograph your work for shows and different things, may want to chime in more too.
I can show the light I use for my demo, which is just one of these ring lights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's as professional as I go anyway.
Lori, do you do anything specific because of all your textured work, or Sunny?
I think everybody's muted.
Oh.
I have a whole jerry-rigged sort of situation in my studio, but I have windows also on 3 sides. So it's really even, great light without shadows. That's the main thing, is preventing shadows. And I find that the iPhones take incredibly good pictures. My husband got the new one, and it's just incredible. It's really amazing what iPhones can do in the realm of photography.
Yeah. Most of our photography of our work that's on Create Arts Online is from an iPhone. Go ahead, Sunny.
I have a thing called, I think it's called a cowboy box. I think that was the name that I looked up when I bought it. And it's like a big white box that has a very smooth background, and it has lights that shine from each side. So I use that a good bit when I'm photographing, mainly for my ceramic things and my dolls and things like that. It gives a much better picture than just sitting it out somewhere.
Right. And it's filtered light, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the best way, is the filtered light.
All right. And I mean, when it comes to this sort of stuff, the lighting and questions, actually, there's a totally unrelated, but there is a free class from an artist, Kevin Shin, on like studio lighting. It's like, I think it's on like Teachable's main website, and you could access it. It's free. But like that, I learned a lot about lighting from that class. Might be worth checking out, just because I had no idea what to buy or to use. Just worth taking a look. Another question I wanted to bring up, and I think it came up actually a few times, is, just grab it, the name of the roller.
Oh, Sunny, tell them the kind of roller I used.
It was a speedball brayer. It's really used for printmaking and things like that, but it's useful in so many different ways. But it is, Speedball is the brand.
Nice. Thank you so much for that. Also, but this is, I think, for Lori from before, was talk about the thickness of the clay. Can you speak a bit to that? And also, in addition to the thickness, I know we got another question about, like, talk a bit about the baking process, because I know you said baking low. Folks ask, can I leave it out to dry? Like, can you speak to both things, the thickness and the baking?
Sure. As far as the thickness goes, I have found that I work anywhere, usually 1/8 of an inch up to a 1/2 inch slab, and you can even go, higher than that. So you can layer clay and make really, really incredible, like 1 inch thick. It's just the baking has to be geared toward the thickness of the clay. So, I recommend people use the instructions on the particular clay that they buy as far as baking. My general rule of thumb is that I usually bake in a 275-degree oven for about 30 minutes. And that seems, even regardless of the thickness, that seems to do the trick for most clay things. If you're using white clay, you have to bake it less at a lower temperature because it tends to burn. But to answer the other question, yes, the polymer clay will not air dry. It has to be baked in order for it to cure and to become hard.
Okay. And really quick, Erin, I'm going to show you the oven. So there's Jerry, and he's actually giving a quick demo, and he's going to lift it up to show you the little dials as well. But this is, you can buy this at on Amazon is the easiest, or I think Joann's sells it. But Lori, tell a little bit more about the oven.
It's a great little oven. I keep that in my studio for small pieces, and it's kind of idiot proof because it only goes to like 300 degrees and shuts off after 30 minutes. So it almost ensures that you can't, burn your clay. I also have hardwired in my garage a full size oven when I'm doing really large slab building pieces. For most consumer uses, artist uses, that little dedicated polymer clay oven works great.
And you don't want to use a regular home oven, cooking oven for this, correct?
Right. In my book, Mixed Media Mosaics, I talk about using your home oven, but there's certain precautions that you have to take. All things being equal, it's better to just buy the small one and not worry about using a crossover between your food and clay cooking in your home oven.
I got one more for Lori, and we'll keep going through these. I mean, if y'all have time, I'm going to try to get through as many of these as we could. The question was attaching the baked clay after. Like, how do you assemble that with the wood? Can you speak a bit to that, Lori?
Sure. My go-to glue for everything that I do with polymer clay is Weld Bond glue, and it's a water-based glue, odorless. It's what mosaic artists use to adhere tessera to their substrate, so it's a really strong glue, and I use that actually to glue pieces of raw clay to other pieces of clay. When I'm embedding items into the clay, I use Weld Bond, and it's also the same glue that I use to attach the mosaic tiles or the pieces to the substrate. So it's really the only glue that I use is the Weld Bond. Not the easiest thing to find. It's certainly on mosaic artist websites, but you're not going to find it if you go to Home Depot. There's other ones that look like it, but you got to make sure. You can buy it on Amazon, but it's a fantastic glue. I love it.
Thank you, Lori. I think the next question is actually for Sunny, and I'm sorry I didn't grab this before. This was seeing a finished way down up close. Oh, sorry.
Tami is muted.
This is the wall doll. So wall dolls are Lori's course, Lori Micah's, and this is the one that's 15% off. But if you want to learn how to do these two dolls, because we do have other doll sort of things on our website, these are both Sunny's courses. So Sunny, tell me the names again, this one.
What do you mean, the name of the doll?
The course, the doll.
Oh.
Both of us are spacing. These are super fun. And these are polymer clay and air dry clay.
I call all those the little people from Dolllandia.
Dolllandia.
Yeah, the Dolllandia.
Dolllandia.
And those are two very different styles. So I go through the way to make each of those in that course.
Yes. So that's our doll subject line category.
Thank you so much. Sorry for pointing it in the wrong direction there. They also, Lori, I know they just talked about the name of that oven, but I did see that someone missed the name of that. The name of the small clay oven again. What was that?
It's made by
Yeah, go.
It's Amico, and you can buy it at like Joann's or Michael's. You do want to use your coupon because it's a little bit pricey. So, but you can also find it online on Amazon. So it's an Amico oven.
Wonderful. Folks, if you have another question or two, I'll stay on for a few minutes here. I can't say thank you enough to the artists for being part of this today. Catherine, Tami, Sunny, Lori, Helen, this was awesome. Like, it was fun to be a part of, even just in the moderation standpoint. For those who are interested in learning more about each of these 4 respective courses from these artists, as I said, we're going to send out a link after. It's also in the YouTube description. And I should have mentioned it earlier, but if you were only able to catch a part of this, or if you joined us halfway through, there will be a replay available. So feel free to start from the beginning, go back, watch whatever pieces you want. We'll have it available. With that, is there any parting thoughts? Is there anything any of our wonderful artists would love to say to the audience before we sign off today?
I just want to encourage people to take a step, and you just never know when somebody's going to show up that's going to change your life forever, but it's going to take you going, okay, I'm going to try this, whatever it is. Especially with Creates Arts Online, you could pretty much just grab something. But I can't encourage, especially women, sorry, Erin, women enough to find a way to express yourself. And it will just add so much to your life. So I think everybody would agree with that it's just a great experience.
And
I also
I'd
think
like to
that
say, I don't know about the rest of you. I assume you are the same way, but I am easily reachable. If you take one of these courses, all you got to do is send me a message, Facebook or Instagram. If you're having a problem or you want me to look at something and tell you how to fix something, I'm always available.
And that's what's good about this platform. Tami's really good at sending things to us for us to answer right away. You get a great support system through Creates Arts Online, and that's been really helpful to a lot of people. You're not left alone. We're really here for you.
And I just wanted to say that I think in the wake of the last almost 2 years of COVID, everybody's kind of shifting and reprioritizing their lives and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I know, personally, I decided I really love the time in my studio. And so I'm not out on the road teaching as much as I used to the last, 15 years at all. So having an online platform is a great way for me to get my courses out there without me having to travel and be able to stay home and get more work done in my studio.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, Lori, because it's the safety of your home, and you don't have to travel. You can watch the videos at any time, whatever mood you're feeling, and it's a safe place for you. You can open up that little palette of colors and get something down on paper, and no one's there to judge you. So that's what I love about teaching online as well.
Well, I agree with all of you, but I think what Sunny said is that each of our instructors are accessible, and it is part of why they are at Create Arts Online and Mosaic Arts Online. This is not just a leave you hanging. It is a guided virtual learning, and that's really important to us, because these are all instructors that do teach live, or like Lori said, taught live more often. And now this is their way of getting it out there, even if they can't physically be there. So it is amazing to have our sections that are only 10 minutes long, where you can do exactly what I did today, which is little bite-sized parts, and then you go on to the next. You are not thrown a huge course of all the information in one part. It's all broken up for you to create alongside the instructor slowly, and go back to the section if you missed something, or go back, like I said, 6 months later because you want to create something again. So it's really as close as it'll ever get to engaging with someone in person, is the way that we've created these courses, and a community. So Sunny's right that we have a Facebook community called Students of Create Arts Online that's private. Only if you have bought a course that you can meet the instructors there as well. So I just can't thank all of you enough, like Erin said, for your time and your talent and being a part of this. And it was a blast. It was really, really, really fun to just be with everybody here.
May I sneak in one more question?
Of course.
All right, we're going to sneak in because I saw it a few times towards the end. The alphabet set that was in Lori's demo. Where do you get that?
The one that Tami used is from a set called Pegs. It's PEGZ, and you can find it online, and they're really cool because they hook together not only horizontally but also vertically. That's the only set that I know that does that. There's another set that you can find at Polymer Clay Express that has snap together alphabet that come in all different font sizes, from like a 1/4 inch up to like 3 inches. So they're online, but you have to search a little bit. polymerclayexpress.com does have the alphabet ones like that. Pegs you'll find on Amazon.
Thank you so much, Lori.
And Erin, the only other thing I wanted to say is that, just so you know, for this event and these 4 courses we're offering, Create Arts Online or Mosaic Arts Online does not offer courses at 15% off ever. So this is a big deal to get that extra discount for these courses.
Very good point. With that, anyone who registered, I'll make sure we send out those links again later. We're going to sign off just a few moments. Everyone who's still with us in the chat, and I've already seen quite a few thank yous. Let's let these artists know again, we appreciate them. They're wonderful, and them spending an hour putting together these, just an incredible display of their talents. You didn't have to, so we do appreciate it. So let them know in the comments, because I don't want to be able to see it later. And also, if you'd like to have them back, try to like this video, because I look at these and then I say, hey, these people were wonderful and I should bring them back. So feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I can't wait to host the next event with this wonderful group.
Yes.
Can I say one more thing?
No, why not?
I know. Okay. I'm just saying, Tami's been spotlighting all of us and what we do, but I think there's a little shout out to Tami and her husband, Jerry, who do the most amazing job of producing and putting together high quality, high production value videos that are worth every penny that they charge for the class, because they're really, really well done.
Mm-hmm. Gonna make me cry. Thank you.
We're gonna close with that. What a wonderful way to close my afternoon. Y'all are the best. We're gonna be signing off in just a second. Feel free to watch the replay. We appreciate you all. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erin, and thank you, Tami.
Thank you guys.
Y'all stay on. I'm into the broadcast, but we'll catch up. Bye, everybody.
Got the debrief.